We are back. Welcome to uSTADIUM Fantasy Live. This is the off season, the first of its kind for uSTADIUM for the fantasy football side of it. I'm Chris. With me, as always, is the Bearish Bomber himself, Stefan. How is it going, big guy?
Man, it's been too long. That delay between the last episode and every game that's happened from the divisional or from the wild card to the divisional to the conference to the Super Bowl. Man, it's just good to be back on. It's good to be talking football in an off season that's going to be electric. If I got to say a word, it's going to be more than that. But I think we're in store for the next 6 months for a crazy off season.
I agree. It's going to be a crazy off season. We're going to bring you guys our top 20, way too early top 20 quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. If we can even name 20 top tight ends in the league right now for fantasy football. And these lists, they're going to be fluid. They're going to change as we move forward throughout the off season. We didn't include any rookies in this yet because we wanted to wait until we saw where the rookies landed and adjust our rankings accordingly. We're going to be taking trade questions. We're going to be talking as we get closer to the NFL draft. We're going to be mocking drafts, mocking rookie drafts, mocking startup drafts, everything to get you guys set up to dominate your drafts and more importantly, lead into the 22 season on the right foot ahead of most of your competition. But we got to talk Super Bowl first. The biggest game of the season. It was electric. There was no flags for the whole game. And then the last 2 minutes, there was like 6 of them. Calls that shouldn't have been made, calls that should have been made. I got no qualms with really any of the calls in slow motion on your couch while you're 6 beers deep and 2 pounds of chicken wings shoved into your face. It's easy to sit there and say, oh, that shouldn't have been a call or that should have been a call. The Logan Wilson one was a bit iffy, but it is what it is. Even the face mask, T. Higgins caught the touchdown after the half. I mean, that's such a bang play in real time. I could only imagine the pressure that the refs feel to not make themselves part of the biggest game in the NFL to make calls like that. But it was electric, man. Cooper Kupp, MVP, well deserved. He on that last drive, he was the reason why they got that touchdown. I've been watching the clips of the like the mic, the hot mics and stuff like that, and Stafford just going up to Kupp before that drive and saying, "I need you, baby. I need you on this drive." And he pretty much went to him all the time. And then he at the end there, he caught 3 touchdowns. He caught the one. It was the offsetting penalty. And then there was the other one there was the defensive pass interference. And then he burned Eli Apple on a sweet move, the inside outside there. I was ecstatic. I had him to win the MVP.
I saw that.
I won some money on that. I was excited. I mean, I knew I was going to cash if they won, and he was part of that big drive because Stafford had those interceptions. I was a little worried that Donald might have ended up taking it with the game that he had, especially.
I would have given it to him easily after that last sack of the game, man.
Yep.
But honestly,
the last sack of the game doesn't mean anything.
Exactly.
Cooper Kupp doesn't get that touchdown right there, right?
So, exactly.
It was electric. Did you enjoy the game? I know I saw you had a bunch of parlays going down there. But did you win any cash? Did you cash in anything? Did you play any DFS? I had one DFS lineup cash in. It was only $25, but I didn't hate it at all.
If I tell you this right now, I'm still salty about this. Like I was, I think like 9 beers in. I was a pound of chicken wings into a few tacos that I had, but I had a great parlay that had hit. It was T. Higgins 2 touchdowns. I had Cooper Kupp 2 touchdowns. I had Higgins on the yards. I took out Cooper Kupp's under on the yards. I should have left that in there. And then I had OBJ scoring. And then the last part of that 8-teamer I had was OBJ at 63.5 receiving yards. And we know what happened because after he After he got hurt, he was 12 yards shy of that 63, and I was 12 yards shy of turning $5 into $1,500. Like you see all over Twitter, all over those sports betting. It wasn't the best outcome money wise. I was happy you won it. I should have bet Cooper Kupp to win the MVP, but I had no dice this one. It kind of went how my year went. I was kind of like so close on so many bets. They just didn't hit. So I'm going into 2022. We're on to Cincinnati. We're doing all of that stuff. So wasn't the best outcome, but honestly, that game and watching Aaron Donald, I mean, I wanted the Bengals to win just because I like that underdog. But seeing Aaron Donald get that sack just goes to show why he was the most dominant D tackle in the league for all these years, all those all pros. And he finally gets to put a ring on his finger after 3 games in a row of just doing the gesture. I'm just happy to see players like him, Von Miller win a Super Bowl, Matthew Stafford. I mean, I lived in Detroit for 16 years of my life. Watching him for 12 years go through what he went through, the Dallas game, the Cleveland Browns game, the Saints playoff game, all these heartbreaks and all these what ifs, put that to rest. I mean, the Detroit Rams were alive for the Super Bowl. So, I mean, I liked it. It was a good Super Bowl regardless of what happened in my pockets, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Joe Burrow. But Cincinnati, you want to get that offensive line going. You're looking like RG3 or some Andrew Luck looking like that. So, I don't know.
Definitely part of the reason why they lost that game was the fact that the defensive line for the LA Rams were able to get through consistently, especially in that second half and in the fourth quarter there. But what made the Super Bowl even more fun outside of betting on these was the point betting on takes on the uSTADIUM app. If you don't have the uSTADIUM app, you're missing out. I'm telling you right now, you're definitely missing out. Takes is an absolute game changer. You can win points that eventually you have the ability to cash out on, and there's all different kinds of takes on there. The Super Bowl was live with a bunch of different takes, from the color of the Gatorade, all the props, the Snoop Dogg stuff, the Tupac hologram was on there. Right there, it says 3 users split a 70,000 point pot, $70 total right there. So
tip of that hat off to you guys.
Yeah, that made it. That was just an extra layer of fun to watch the Super Bowl, because a lot of people that don't watch football in general, they'll take in the Super Bowl for the halftime show, for the food, for the prop bets, the party. I mean,
it's just a fun time. A Super Bowl is just, it's a party.
It's a party.
Like you said. Yeah. And I won some squares off the uSTADIUM had our squares that we do every year.
Oh, nice.
I won 5,000 points off the squares. So that was the one win of the day I had. So I was a little happy about that.
Take it. Yeah, you take it. And I mean, I think they should explore moving it to Saturday now that it's on the opposite weekend of the Senior Bowl. They might be, look into something like that where they can move it into Saturday. But again, Sunday is football tradition. They do own a day of the week. Yeah, I was excited for it. Some big producers. If you play DFS, I mean, T. Higgins, 4 catches, 100 yards, 2 TDs. Jamar Chase still had a good day, 89 yards on 5 catches.
Tyler Boyd had a quietly,
Tyler Boyd had a decent day, 5 catches, 48 yards. But then the running game for both teams wasn't really existent. Joe Mixon was the best one out of the bunch, 15 carries, 72 yards. I still question why on those 4th down plays they put P. Ryan in. He had 2 carries for absolutely no yards, 0 yards. I still question that play call there. When it comes down to the last game, plays like that, I know it's probably something that they've been doing the whole season, and you kind of want to stick to what got you there. But at those moments, you want your best plays on the field. Joe Mixon was moving the pocket. He was averaging 4.8 yards per carry there. You're on the 4th and 1. Why not put a guy like Joe Mixon in, right?
Put your backup in, and and like I had a bet on some of my slips. P. Ryan, 3.5 rushing yards. I'm like, there's no way he doesn't get 3.5 rushing yards. But they did it. I mean, Aaron Donald was able to get this man one-handed. I mean, Aaron Donald always does, and just stop him. Like it was to me, I was baffled because I'm looking, I'm like, that's too big to be Joe Mixon. I'm like, Joe Mixon's getting a 4-yard average. He got 15 carries. He said almost 60 yards. But like, you don't put your star back, or even Jamar Chase. Like anyone else to like even have like
end around or
something
but,
like. You know, that's why I'm not an NFL coach. I mean, Zach Taylor, I can't question. You got the Bengals, the 2-win team, to the Super Bowl on a year that Joe Burrow, after he tears his ACL, you know, he comes out, balls out. But that's the only thing I question was that Samaje Perine run on. I don't get it. It's just I don't know. I don't know what his thought process was. Joe Mixon's a good guy.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, even quarterback sneak it, like anything but that.
So I saw Josh Larkey, a guest of ours during the season this past season. He had an all-time tweet where he said Zack Taylor's fourth quarter playbook should have won the MVP. I thought that was hilarious. But speaking of Twitter, a lot of the Twitter fodder before we get into these quarterbacks for the 2022 season is Matt Stafford a Hall of Famer?
I think when he retires, all said and done, he will be a Hall of Famer. I think he got the notch on his belt to get the ring. I think a ring goes a long way, unless you're pulling stats like Dan Marino, where you just have unbelievable regular seasons. You just do everything you can, but you don't have rings. It's a different story. Matt Stafford was on a putrid team in Detroit. He still made it work. He had 5,000-yard seasons, 40 touchdown seasons. I think if he finishes his contract in LA, you know, 4 years, whatever they sign him to, by the end of it, when it's all said and done, when he retires, when he's done, he will be a Hall of Famer. As of right now, I kind of want to argue yes, but the numbers don't scream yes because he's not really like standing out in certain, you know, categories. So give me 3 more years of Matt Stafford in that system with Sean McVay. I'll definitely put him into a Hall of Fame. But as of right now, Sherman, I agree with you for now.
Yeah, exactly. The one Pro Bowl is still crazy to me.
What do you get? You're in Detroit. I mean, come on. Like, what do you expect?
Yeah. We just had the tweet pulled up by producer Splash, there, producer extraordinaire of the Josh Larkey tweet. Give Zack Taylor's final drive playbook the Super Bowl MVP. That was amazing. I loved it. It's Twitter gold right there. Twitter gold.
Frame that one.
Yeah. Let's get into why we're here, Steph. Let's put the 2021 season behind us. Let's move forward to the 2022 season. We're going to give you our way too early fluid top 20 quarterback rankings. We're going to talk about a couple of the guys that we have in here in this episode. And then next episode, we'll do probably running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, and then move towards the rookies as we get closer to the NFL draft. So my top 20, we'll pull up the graphic here. I got Josh Allen, number 1, last year's QB1 finish. I got Patrick Mahomes at 2, Herbert at 3, Lamar Jackson at 4, and then I got Joe Burrow at 5. I have Joe Burrow QB5 entering the 2022 season. Some may say I'm valuing the 30-year LSU product a bit on the high side. This might be his ceiling, but his end of the season was strong. In weeks 16 and 17, probably the 2 most crucial weeks of fantasy for Joe Shiesty. He finished as the QB1 in fantasy scoring, 38.1 points in 16 and then 34.8 respectively versus the Browns and the Kansas City Chiefs, who are no slouches. And then he's coming off the Bengals have the 4th most cap space coming into the season, fresh off the back of a 2021 Super Bowl run. He's definitely got some vinegar in his Cheerios. He's tasted the taste of defeat. Hot take from Ryan here. Fields finishes top 10. I mean, it's hot. It's up there.
Is it habanero hot or is it
It's if he can get the rushing game going. I know they're losing Allen Robinson there, but if they could take advantage of his legs, he could definitely finish in the top 10. I mean, 1 and 2 I would say can be interchangeable. 3 to 6 can swap consistently throughout the season. Then I think 7 to maybe 12 is a is a bit of a crapshoot. It's going to depend on who has a better season, better passing numbers. I mean, a lot of the guys at the top of this list are going to be heavy runners. So, but I think Joe Burrow, not the most prolific runner by any means, but the chance that the Bengals, I'm trying to find the right word there, the chance that the Bengals are going to have to build around them with the cap space through drafting, free agency. They got the chance to really build something good there in Cincinnati. 51 sacks in the regular season. That's not including playoffs. If you include playoffs, he's probably somewhere close to
71.
71.
He had 20 sacks against them. Yep.
Which is crazy in that small sample size that is the playoffs. 20 sacks. He had 9 against them in the one game there,
Titans game,
which was not good at all. And then he got lit up. I think he was pretty much playing on one leg.
I mean,
near the end of the Super Bowl there, he was pretty much playing on one leg. You could see it. He would take 1 to 2 step drop back and then quickly release the ball. He was not holding onto the ball for long, and when the defender was close to him, he was dropping. You could see that his leg just wasn't right. But with that, he was number 1 QB in completion percentage when he was throwing from a clean pocket. So if they can build that line around Joe Burrow, that is the reason why I think he can take a big step into fantasy this coming season and finish in that top 5. Again, I may have him at his ceiling here at top 5. I don't see him taking that 1 spot or that 2 spot, maybe even that 3 spot. Herbert is low-key a decent runner. He's put up some good numbers running the ball, but for Joe Burrow, I think if the Bengals build around him, then he can definitely move up into that upper echelon, that tier 1, top of tier 2 of quarterbacks heading into the 2022 season. And then I have Kyler Murray. I don't know what's going on in Arizona there, but he's been a guy that's great at the beginning and then inconsistent in the second half of the season. So I got him down a little bit lower. Dak Prescott at 7. Jalen Hurts at 8. I mean, another guy who's fantasy relevant because of his running. I got the NFL MVP, Aaron Rodgers, at 9. Right now, the graphic shows them on Green Bay, but who knows where he's going to end up at the start of the season. And then at 10, I got Russell Wilson, quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks for now. He got a lot of heat last season with the trade rumors, the hand injury, the problem he had with DK Metcalf and his romper room escapades, allegedly, and his substandard production in his first 2 games back from injury. With all that, Danger Russ still threw for 25 touchdowns, or put him at QB 11 on 3,000 passing yards, while finishing 5th in yards per attempt at 7.8 and 1st in air yards per attempt with 10.1. In 2020, when playing the full season, Rush finished 2nd in passing TDs and top 5 in passing yards. The real question is, do I have him? Another guy, do I have him ranked at his ceiling? Can Russ do much better than 10th at the position? He can if he can continue to rush the ball. Between 2013 and 2020, Wilson consistently finished within the top 10 of QB scoring with 4 top 3 finishes, and one of those he finished as QB1, which is 2017. In those top 3 finisher years, it was his rushing that got him there. 2,330 yards, 391 attempts, 16 TDs combined through that chunk of time. With the potential trade rumors already circling around this veteran quarterback, his ceiling is probably QB6, barring any injury. I am absolutely buying into what Wilson is going to bring into the 2022 season.
What is he worth though, draft wise? What would you pay for him if you were like the Eagles? Because I've heard Eagles, I've heard some teams. Like, what is his price right now coming off of this last season?
Coming off of this last season, I mean, I'm okay giving up a first in Jalen Hurts, no problem. You want to take Jalen Hurts, not that much of a prolific passer, take him. You want to take a couple draft picks, take him. I'd rather have Russell Wilson right now than a Deshaun Watson, I think. Are you in that same?
I like it.
Yeah, I know what you're going to get out of Deshaun Watson. You know what you're going to get out of Russell Wilson. I just think I like what Russell Wilson brings to the table more. Fantasy-wise, though, depending where Deshaun Watson ends up, I might want Deshaun Watson over Russell Wilson. I do not have Deshaun Watson on this list just because the water is so muddied. It's so murky right now. uSTADIUM did push out a notification saying that the situation could become a little more clear, or maybe I think it was Twitter. The situation could become look at that. The real GOAT, Josh Rosen, finished with minus 1.24 fantasy points in 2021. I mean, I'll always remember the clip of Josh Rosen saying all the other teams before him are going to regret not drafting him. I don't know about that, Josh. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to what Russell Wilson's going to do in the 2022 season. And then I got Matt Stafford with the LA Rams. If Cooper Kupp's there, I'm not too sure what OBJ is going to do. I still think he's going to produce at a high level. 12, I got Derek Carr with the new regime of Josh McDaniels. I like it. At number 13, I have Trevor Lawrence. This is a big one for me. He was once described as the next generational talent to come into the NFL, but was hampered by a mess of a front office and a coaching staff that was handling the Jacksonville Jaguars. It was not good at all. With all that, the first overall selection in last year's entry draft, still finished as a top 20 fantasy quarterback. He finished 5th in quarterback carries with 73, 9th in red zone carries, which is a big one, with 12, 8th in rushing yards. So he finished top 10 rushing yards at the position with 332, but only secured 2 rushing TDs. If he can double that, he definitely move up into that 13, 14, 15 spot. With the rushing TDs, everything heading into the 2022 season is trending up for Lawrence, and he should see an increase in total TDs in 2021. In total, he had 14 touchdowns between passing 12 and rushing 2. The hiring of Doug Peterson is a good sign that Lawrence will continue to develop in the right direction for the season. He was once tasked with helping Carson Wentz get to the next level. Peterson had Wentz at an MVP pace a few years back. Let's not forget that. And in 2017, the second-year QB threw for 33 touchdowns and 7 interceptions and over 3,300 yards. The staff collected another win by hiring Jim Bob Cooter as passing game coordinator, who had previously worked with Stafford, who we already mentioned, and Peyton Manning. I mean, he can definitely take the next step forward if the Jaguars add offensive pieces through the draft, which is rich at wide receiver, or through free agency, where the Jags hold the 3rd most cap space. There's a ton of free agent wide receivers out there: Chris Godwin, Allen Robinson, Devontae Adams, to name a few. He's getting Travis Etienne back, so he's getting that safety blanket back. So I'm not too sure what's going to happen with DJ Shark there, but they could go out and draft a Justin Ross maybe late in the draft, another guy that he's familiar with. He made Laquan Treadwell relevant. So all that tied in together, if he boosts his rushing, if he continues to get a little more consistent with his passing, there is no reason why Trevor Lawrence cannot finish within the top 15 of fantasy quarterbacks. Then I got Kirk Cousins with the Kevin O'Connell hiring there from the Los Angeles Rams. I'm expecting a big, or at least a decent season out of Kirk Cousins. He's consistently finished within this range year in and year out. So I'm hoping, or I'm not really hoping, I'm projecting him to finish here. He could definitely, again, these guys between 13 and 17 here, they're going to interchange throughout the whole season. This list is going to, it's a fluid list. It's going to move as guys get drafted, as situations change. If Kirk Cousins gets another prolific wide receiver with him, I might consider bumping him up a little bit in my rankings. He was QB 11 in 2021 with 307 total points. And just to put it out there, this list is based on a 4-point passing TD structure, 6-point rushing, just the standard scoring for fantasy football quarterbacks. At 15, I have second-year product Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields can be a great passer in the NFL, great fantasy producer if he gets his running going. I'm hoping they take full advantage of that with the new coaching regime there in Chicago. And then at 16, I got Trey Lance. I'm probably going to have Trey Lance behind a lot of other QB ranks. I think Steph's got him a little higher than I do. And for this season, and having him at the 16th spot still scares me a bit. I know the offense will still have value in fantasy as long as guys like Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, Mitchell, and Kyle Shanahan are still in the fold for the Niners. Like I said, I'll be adjusting these rankings through the season. I can definitely move Trey up the list here as the season goes, but his draft capital as of right now is just too expensive for me in any kind of redraft league. In a dynasty league, I'm okay with reaching up for Trey Lance ahead of a bunch of these other guys. What's up, Frankie? Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate the support as always. But for me, I think I would rather have Trevor Lawrence, even though Trey Lance has a better situation over. Do you think Trey Lance can be a top 10 fantasy QB? He can definitely get there. He's a little raw still. He did put up some good numbers in the limited time that he had. He had 5 touchdowns, 603 yards on 71 attempts. It's a small sample size, but those are not bad numbers, right?
Yeah, divide that into half, and that's like 350 yards a game. And what you said, 5 touchdowns?
5 touchdowns.
How many rushing touchdowns?
He had 38 carries, which he averaged about 6.3 carries a game, which is a great number on a per game basis for carries by the quarterback. That's where his true value will lie. If he continues to rush the ball, he has been comped to Josh Allen, so he could definitely finish in that top 10 if he consistently rushes the ball and he can make the throws that he needs to make in the passing game. He has the tools around him. The line's there, the receivers are there, the tight end's there, the running back's there, the coaching is there. He definitely has the tools around him to be a top 10 fantasy quarterback. Dynasty, I'm definitely taking him as a top 10 fantasy quarterback. Redraft, I think I might want one of these other guys before him. But as of right now, the 49ers have the 5th hardest schedule in terms of winning percentage of the opponents that they're playing against, which is why I have him at the back end of my list here. And then after Trey Lance, I got Tua Tagovailoa, who's getting an upgrade in, I don't know if it's an upgrade, but he's getting a regime change there with Mike McDaniel taking over as head coach, coming from the said San Francisco 49ers. And then I got Zack Wilson, New York Jets, second-year quarterback. I'm expecting big things out of Zack Wilson. I'm trying to draft him in all my dynasty leagues wherever I can. I think it's going to be a big year for the kid. And then Matt Ryan at 19, and then to circle out the list. I know you're not a big Baker guy, but I got Baker Mayfield as QB 20. If he can stay on the field, he can make the plays that he needs to be in that top 20 range. I know you got another guy there in that 20 spot.
Oh yeah.
But Mac Jones, man, wasn't the greatest fantasy producing quarterback this past year. He could take the step up in his second year coming in. He might have that sophomore slump. I don't know what to expect of him without that Josh McDaniels there, who's moved on to Las Vegas. But I'm okay with Baker Mayfield there now. but that could definitely change as the season goes. So that's my top 20 right there. As of right now, I'm on way too early top 20 QB rankings. But enough of what I had to say. Let's hear what Steph's got. Let's see how these lists vary. Steph, the floor is yours, my man.
All right. I mean, like you said it earlier, this list can be interchangeable. It's just every week we go, every week it's going to be different depending on what happens situation-wise. But the only thing that at the top of my list that's different is I have my boy Patrick Mahomes. I think, like you said, they are interchangeable. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes are two of the future stars of the NFL. These guys are here now. They're here to win. They're going to be in the playoffs almost every year as long as Buffalo and Kansas City keep up what they're doing offseason wise. Mahomes is just that guy. I think he's a cerebral assassin. I think he's the guy who comes out with 13 seconds left like he did, and he can win you a game. I think Josh Allen still has some things to learn. When I watched that offense, it was like you either run with Josh Allen, pass with Josh Allen. You go through everything with Josh Allen. And as much as it did work, you can't sustain that much success running the ball with a quarterback taking that many hits. Josh Allen was a great fantasy quarterback, and I'm not taking anything from him. But I think Mahomes has the mind, he has the arm, he has the Andy Reid coach. Like, I think he's just set up to succeed for the next 5-6 years. He's got a tight end who is 32 years old. He's getting older, so eventually Kelsey won't be there. He's got Tyreek Hill, the cheetah, one of the fastest receivers. I just think that Mahomes over Allen right now makes more sense because we saw when Allen had the ball, he was electric. But when Mahomes had the ball, he knew how to win the game. He knew when it came time to that clutch 2-minute drive, when they needed that field goal to go to overtime, they needed that last drive to make sure Josh Allen didn't step foot on that field again. Patrick Mahomes made those plays. He made all the reads. He made all of that. So that's why right now I do have Mahomes over Josh Allen, and I'm pretty firm on that for now until I see Josh Allen take a step where they develop that run game with Zach Moss and Devin Singletary like they did going into the end of the season, into the playoffs, because Singletary did pick it up a little bit. He was basically dead and gone in the first half of the season. We were telling you every week on our fantasy show, drop Devin Singletary because they only run Josh Allen.
Yeah.
So those two go back and forth. They were really, really close. It wasn't an easy decision. I did want to put Josh Allen over Mahomes, but my heart told me Mahomes is just that guy. Now, where our list is gonna start to separate here a little bit. The 1 and 2 are always interchangeable. Well, I'll probably have him maybe 1 and have Mahomes 2 sometimes, but at my 3 spot, it's got to be Lamar Jackson. I love Justin Herbert. I love what he's done these last 2 years, but I do expect a little bit of a drop off, and I do expect Lamar Jackson to come back to MVP form. He was injured. He did have a slump season compared to what he always has, but at the end of the day, it's Lamar Jackson. Like, this guy is the reincarnation of Michael Vick. I mean, if he does get Antonio Brown, hey, Godspeed, God help you guys. I hope you make this guy happy. I hope you give him what he wants, because if not, then we'll see Antonio Brown pulling a Buccaneers shindig on the Jets touchdown field. So I just think that Lamar Jackson, he had a subpar year. He was 16 of 13 when it came to touchdowns. He had a 64% completion rating. So like, he wasn't like shooting through the roof MVP numbers, but I think if he comes back, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, all these players that they lost, all these injuries that just hampered the season, yet they still almost made the playoffs. He had that ankle injury at the end of the season, which it always catches up when you're running quarterback, which is my biggest fear on any running quarterback. But I think this guy is a stud. I think Lamar Jackson is that guy. He's close to number 2, but Josh Allen is just more of a gunslinger. If Lamar Jackson can develop more of that deep ball, if Marquise Brown doesn't retire to go play video games 24/7, if his boy Rashad Bateman can, if they can get him the ball early, nice and quick, they give Mark Andrews that second half run by Mark Andrews was nothing short of phenomenal.
Electric,
Like, he won you leagues, he won them games, but at the end of the day, Harbaugh was making some questionable decisions that ended up losing them 2 games. That's neither here or there, but Lamar Jackson to me is still the 3rd best quarterback because of what he does on the field with his legs. He's versatile. He's a good passer, but he could always be better. But see, now when I go to number 4, it's almost a complete opposite of what Lamar is and what Justin Herbert is. Justin Herbert is a gunslinger. This guy is known to light it up on the field. He's been phenomenal these last 2 seasons. I've never seen a quarterback, I think, come out and just take the league by its, and just say, watch me throw this ball and watch me become that guy. So I'm looking at Herbert. I want to put him at 3, but Lamar Jackson's run ability doesn't make me do that. But if Herbert comes out this year again, He balls out. He goes, hey, listen, I'm legit. I'm the real deal. I can rank him higher than Lamar Jackson, depending what goes on. So Herbert and Lamar Jackson, just like Josh Allen and Mahomes, they're kind of interchangeable right now. I'll put one or the other if I'm how I'm feeling. But the one guy that I had to put at 5 was Joe Burr, Joe Shiesty, the guy who almost came back, like swagger himself. But God, man, like Cincinnati, you're not watching this stream, but you better listen to the Twitter fans. You guys need an offensive line. Mm-hmm. Joe Burrow did what he did. And like you said, that's that. In the clean pocket, he was a number 1 quarterback. Like, come on, look at the stats. Look at the numbers. Yep. He is a baller. You have 3 receivers, Higgins, Boyd, Chase. They're all great receivers on any other team. Joe Mixon, you have Uzama, you have Sample, you have such a deep team. All you're missing is protection.
Yep.
And if you have protection in that Super Bowl, who knows? You probably win that game by a touchdown or 3 points, or that 4th and 1 doesn't happen where Samaje, or 3rd and 1 where Samaje gets, taken back, or Joe Burrow and 4th down, the game on the line is just sacked. Like it just doesn't happen if you have a decent offensive line. And that's in that Super Bowl, the Rams won 82% of their rush against that offensive line. That was one of the most mind-blowing stats. 18% win rate for the offensive line. You have the money, you have the draft capital. Go protect your future all-star quarterback.
Yep.
Now, when we say, now I said future, but we don't know what's going to happen with this man's future yet. Is he going to be a Saint? Is he going to be a Denver Bronco? Is he going to be I don't know who he's going to be. No one knows. Packers want to give him that $100 million contract over 2 years. They want him to come back. But that's all smoke. I mean, come on. We say we want this. We say you want that. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. But what I do know is this is your MVP. This is the league MVP. And being at 6, it's strictly because of situation. It's strictly because I think these other guys are just that much better because they're a little bit younger, so they still have that like zest in them. But Aaron Rodgers is a bad man, to quote Stephen A. This guy, I see players like Brady, Manning, smart quarterbacks that make plays, that know how to pick apart defenses. But when it comes to IQ, when it comes to like being an actual genius, I think Aaron Rodgers is that guy. I mean, you can pick apart his throws, but when he needs to make a play that needs to get a first down on 3rd and 1, like against the Bears, I saw him just float a beautiful pass to Devontae Adams on Sunday night a few months ago. I'm looking at these plays. I'm like, this is the only guy that can make a play that will be perfect for his receiver to catch it, first down, kill 10 minutes off that clock. Like, not every quarterback can go on the field and kill 8-9 minutes off a quarter. That's insane. So Aaron Rodgers would be higher, but until I know where he's going to land and I can situate what happens with the Packers offseason, he's probably going to stay at 6. Dak Prescott now, I kind of wanted him at 8 or 9, but Dak Prescott is Dak Prescott. He's got 3 guys in Gallup who could be gone. They could re-sign him. They have CeeDee Lamb, who is a young stud. They've got Amari Cooper, who just seems to never age. He's been like 23 for like 5 years now. And with that being said, Dak Prescott is developing into a better passer. He still has his issues, which is why I rank him at 7, but he's still a game winner. He's a guy. He's that guy for Dallas. He's got the great offensive line, the highest paid running back in the league going into this year. He's got Tony Pollard. So he's got weapons galore. It's just a matter of he has to stop turning the ball over. He has to make smarter plays than he's been making, because some of his plays are questionable. Some of them I'm like, what are you doing? What are you making that pass for? But the next guy on the list didn't have, the best offensive season. I mean, he did have I think total of 21 total interceptions throughout the entire season, playoffs included. Matt Stafford, he didn't win a Super Bowl. He did. 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I'm not taking none of that away, but to crack the top 5, Stafford to me is not going to be there yet because all these other guys have the run ability. I don't know what's going on with OBJ. I mean, he's going to be there. I think he wants to be in LA, but Stafford for me can fluctuate between 7, 8, or 6. So it's not like he's 8 because I think, he's not better than those guys. I just think I got to see what happens in the offseason. It'll always go higher. It'll always go lower. But Matthew Stafford really, really proved a lot of people wrong. If you just got to keep those interceptions down, 17 in the regular season, that's kind of a lot. I mean, you cost a lot of games on that. 17 interceptions was, I think, 3rd or 4th most in the league last year, if I'm just eyeballing it. So Stafford, I'm keeping a fringe top 10. I don't want to put him in the top 5. And another guy that I had in the top 5, but I looked, and like you said, clear as day, he started out amazing. But second half of the season, he got hurt against the Packers on that Thursday night. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Kyler Murray. I see him on the run 24/7. I don't know who has a worse offensive line. Is it Joe Burrow? Or is it Kyler Murray? Who has the worst offensive line? Both teams, if they had a good offensive line, would be in better positions. But for the sake of that, Kyler Murray also turns the ball over a lot. It looks like he's always scampering or scattering or just trying to make like some Superman play. It's kind of rubbing me the wrong way. Russell Wilson, I think. Did you have him at 10 as well?
Yes, I had Russ at 10. Yeah,
I think you hit the hammer on the head with that one, or the nail, whatever. Metaphor is but I think you hit it right on the dot. Russell Wilson is a baller. He's a stud. He has a great deep ball. But him and DK Metcalf had one of the most. I think it's embarrassing because DK Metcalf is a freak of nature. This guy is a massive receiver. He should be getting at least 12, 13 touchdowns a season alongside of your shorter, stockier receiver in Tyler Lockett. If he ends up on a different team, I'm going to rank him higher. If he goes to Philadelphia, I'll put him higher. Anywhere but Seattle right now, he's going to go higher. I just don't think that Russell Wilson in Seattle is going to be the Russell Wilson of 2017 or the Russell Wilson of 2014. Like that guy. I think he's kind of a shell of himself because if I'm Russell Wilson, I'm looking around like, God, it's kind of like nothing. I don't have really a good defense. My offensive line is kind of suspect. I've got a revolving door at running back. If I'm Russell Wilson, I'm kind of trying to get out of Seattle and just try to restart my whole situation. Look at Matthew Stafford. He had great seasons in Detroit, but the second he leaves Detroit, goes to a team that knows what they want to do, he balled. He won a Super Bowl. He beat Tom Brady. He beat the 49ers after going 0-6. Like this guy proved so many people wrong. And I think Russell Wilson, it's time for a scene change. And I think if he goes somewhere else, he's higher. If he doesn't, he might even go lower. But he won't be lower than Jalen Hurts. I mean, Jalen Hurts, he's good. He runs. He's there. He's like Houdini, you know, he's just everywhere, but he doesn't have that pass ability. Like you said, he's over here like, oh, I can run for 50 yards, but throw for 100 yards and 1 touchdown. And we could have a 25-point fantasy game. The king of garbage time. That's what Jalen Hurts was. And to be honest, I had a disappointing season with his rookie receivers, Devonta Smith. I just think that Jalen Hurts is the guy for now, but might not be the guy for the future. So like we said, if you're Russell Wilson or you're the Eagles, you want Russell Wilson, ship Jalen Hurts, ship a first-round pick and something else for him. Because if you get Russell Wilson on that team, it's a whole different ball game than what you had with Jalen Hurts. You're getting a smart quarterback.
That's definitely true.
But like we say, numbers are numbers, stats are stats, and Jalen Hurts has the stats as a runner. He is trying to be that guy, but he has to develop a pass. It's like Lamar Jackson a few years ago. What was his only niche? He can't pass the ball like every other passer can. He comes back, develops a pass, develops a deep ball. Lamar Jackson starts the ball out. Jalen Hurts, it's your third year in the system. Get it right. Because if you don't, then you're on the move for some other quarterback that will get it right. Because that Eagles team was a lot better than we suspected.
Yeah, I agree there. Yep.
And when it comes to teams being better than we suspected, I mean, what better team than the Las Vegas Raiders? I mean, this team was one of the. I'm like, no, there's no way this team is even going to win 9 games. They make it to a playoffs. Playoffs. Like, I sat there. I'm like, dang, Derek Carr. He's good, but he's not elite. He's good, but he's 12 because out of all these quarterbacks, I would take Derek Carr at 12 over Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Kirk Cousins, because he still gets it done. He still throws for 4,000 yards. He still knows how to make those plays. He just doesn't have the receivers or the offense to like be better. He's like capped at a certain level to where like he gets there. Okay, that's it. That's all I can do. That's all you're going to see. So that's why I have him at 12. I'll still draft him as a quarterback in 2022.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
Shoot. As a starting quarterback, yeah. As a backup quarterback.
Especially with McDaniels there, yep.
And I'm a huge McDaniels fan. I watched him in the New England years. I watched him even with Mac Jones. But the one thing I got to worry about Derek Carr is who is that number one? Is Darren Waller? Yes. But if Darren Waller is out, Hunter Renfrow can't be the guy every game. He's a great slot. He's a good small receiver like an Edelman or Welker kind of a guy. But you need that big play kind of a guy. Until they get that, I don't see Derek Carr going higher than Jalen Hurts, Russell Wilson, or Kyler Murray because he doesn't run the ball.
Yeah.
So that's why he's
a
capped.
Separator. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's kind of funny because the next guy on my list is a guy who can run the ball, And under the team regime he had last year, it was like, oh, this guy's going to be a baller. The OSU stud, Darnell Mooney, Allen Robinson, Montgomery, yada, 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 bullcrap. It was the worst. They were probably the worst team to see play, only because you didn't know if it was Andy Dalton playing or if it was like Andy Dalton for one drive. Now, here's Justin Fields. I think with this new coach, this new like thought process of going into Chicago, you have to unleash Justin Fields. He can sling the rock. He can run the rock. He's basically a mixture, and I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. He's a mixture between what Lamar Jackson is and what Joe Burrow is. He can throw the ball. He can throw it. He can also run the ball. But when you don't have receivers or like Lamar Jackson has Mark Andrews, Joe Burrow has Higgins and has Chase. Who does Justin Fields have? Darnell Mooney? Goodwin. Who do you got? Allen Robinson?
Yeah.
Like Cole Kmet, a 35-year-old Jimmy Graham.
Yeah.
Like, come on, Tariq Cohen's not there. Like, you got like everyone there that would have been a good pass catcher for him, and it wasn't working. I think going into this season, I think the draft, they have some money. Just get him a guy that you can just throw a ball to and catch, and just Chris Godwin. You get him somebody that's going to go up there, because Allen Robinson either hated the team and just protested playing, or he just really wasn't the guy we thought he was. And if he goes back to Jacksonville and ends up playing with Trevor Lawrence again, it's like a reunion for them. It's kind of going to be like, where was this last year? So
yeah,
Justin Fields, you're not going to go higher until I see what that offensive line, that offense in general does for you, because I saw him and he was always getting hurt. He was always in the rib injuries, the ankle injuries. Soldier Field it's a bad field regardless to play on. We know that. But until they can prove and make drastic changes, I don't see the Chicago Bears or even Justin Fields being a playoff team until they know what direction they're going in. And the direction they're going in is the opposite of what I think the 49ers are going in. I think they lose Jimmy Garoppolo and you put Trey Lance in there, and I don't think you miss a step at all. He is raw. He's still young, but I think watching Jimmy Garoppolo last year, you could have put Trey Lance in for all those games, and I feel like he would have done maybe worse, but still better, if that makes sense.
Do they make the playoffs last year if Trey Lance plays the whole year?
I think so. Only because Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't throwing for like 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. Jimmy Garoppolo was throwing for like 150 yards, and Deebo Samuel is rushing like a running back that he is. So, like, is it Jimmy Garoppolo's fault, or did Jimmy Garoppolo just maintain the ship to the point where they made it to land and didn't sink the ship? Yep. I think Trey Lance has that talent. He has the arm strength. He has the run ability. But I don't know what they're going to do with him. Like you said, he's basically still a rookie because he didn't get that like Mac Jones, Trevor Lawrence, Zack Wilson kind of treatment where like, all right, hey, you're going to play all these games, and now you're either going to suck or you're going to do really well. We saw a small sample size. Like you said in a few games, he had a decent outing. I mean, they had packages for him, but you have to still play Jimmy G out of the respect, contract, yada, yada, yada. But I think going forward, Trey Area is that guy. I think he's going to be the man. He could creep up higher. I think I might one day replace him for like Derek Carr if that team looks good, because they have great offensive weapons and a nice defense. So he's going into a situation where he's winning already.
Agreed.
Now, Kirk Cousins, I don't know what they feel about Kirk Cousins. I mean, it's like, you know, when you have that person where it's like, I like you, I don't love you. Like, you get the job done. You're a good worker. That? Yeah. Like, I'm just like, you're good, but you're not great. You gave Justin Jefferson great seasons. You gave Thielen great seasons, but like, again, Derek Carr, you're like kind of capped. Had great year last year, was QB 11 on 2021, 16 games. But he's just not a guy I'm confident in taking my franchise to the next level because he has a floor. And Kellen Mond has a cannon. Like, I watched him in preseason last year. I watched him in his practices last year when I first got on this set for uSTADIUM. I was like recording some of his stuff, and this guy can sling a rock. Is it too early for him? I think so. If you get one more season out of Kirk Cousins, like, what are you going to do? Sign him to another big deal, or do you just let him go and develop your rookie talent? I don't know. That Vikings team is up in the air quarterback-wise, but one team I know is not up in the air quarterback-wise is the New England Patriots. I think Mac Jones he had not mediocre, he had a passive year. Of course, I mean, you're throwing to Kendrick Bourne, Nelson Aguilar, Hunter Henry, Jacoby 1 touchdown Myers.
Yeah, like, he's not throwing TDs to Jacoby.
Right.
He's throwing to Jacoby.
Exactly. So like, I think if the rumors are true and they can and Bill can somehow get him a Calvin Ridley, can get him that guy that is a rock star, get him a guy that is a number one receiver, you'll see Mac Jones flourish.
Yeah.
The Pro Bowl,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
could definitely
shoot,
see that. Yep.
get him a tight end that's not going to be getting costing so much money and Genu Smith and doesn't do anything. I mean, get him a guy who Nelson Aguilar. Like I said, these guys are just like tier 3 receivers. I'm sorry. Like, no disrespect, they're NFL players. I'm not in the NFL, so I can't say much. But like, as an analyst that I am, I see these guys. I'm like, these guys are not guys who come out and win you the game. And Mac Jones is capped by that because he probably wants to do better, but he also needs a cannon. He also needs to develop that arm strength because he was good. He was, underneath routes, short routes, the small routes, the safe routes. But you need to just learn how to see, like, look at Joe Burrow in the Super Bowl when he flung that rock to T. Higgins, that one-on-one. Let your receiver go out and make that play. He was a receiver, came out and made that play. I can't tell you a single receiver on that team, the Patriots team, that can go out and do what T. Higgins did, Jamar Chase did, Cooper Kupp did, because there is no guy like that.
No,
like,
there isn't.
Exactly. Isn't. So you either trade up in the draft, you get someone like a Drake London, you get like a Traylon Burks, you get some 6'3" stud. Develop him. I mean, come on. This Mac Jones is like, give me a quarterback. Let me show you what I could do in Alabama with these ballers that were on his team to what I could do in New England. Bill Belichick's passive, but you know what? He'll get through it. But not like this guy's coach next on my list didn't get through it. They fired him. He's gone. He was grinding his way through the season. He was in clubs in Ohio.
Literally grinding his way.
And Trevor Lawrence, I know he bit his tongue all season. I know that he knew this would be like, I hate to say a wasted season because like you said, the cap salary, the draft picks, it's like you knew, hey, we're not going to be good this year, but you know what? We'll upset a team like the Bills. We'll show you what we have, but we're not there just yet. And I think this year, Trevor Lawrence, get a reunion with Allen Robinson. Get someone for this guy. Get him somebody. Yeah. And if you do, protect him. Make sure you have people that are successful around him, because then you'll see what Trevor Lawrence did at Clemson on the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah.
And that the AFC South as it is, it's not wide open, but the door is still open for these other teams. And if Jacksonville is smart enough and they make the correct moves, they do what they're supposed to, you'd be surprised what you'll see out of Jacksonville coming in the next 2-3 years. But speaking of 2-3 years, what happened 3 years ago, 4 years ago, maybe now, actually 5 years ago, and that's Matt Ryan and the 28-3 Falcons. Matt Ryan has been nothing but ice. Matty Ice is probably the perfect name because he's been nothing but cold. He hasn't done anything. He's gotten nothing done. He's like he loses his receiver. Kyle Pitts is he's good, but he wasn't what we wanted him to be, especially with Calvin Ridley gone. You thought, oh my God, nuclear. His guy's gonna go off. He's gonna ball out. And then Cordero Patterson, my boy, comes out of nowhere. It's like, no, I got this. So Matt Ryan, you're good, but like you're like kind of they're just there. Like Frankie said it earlier, we had a call with them. Like the Falcons just sat there after the Super Bowl and just steadily declined. And Matt Ryan wasn't really helping them because you lose Julio, you lose Calvin Ridley. What do you expect Matt Ryan to do? Just be ice cold because he wasn't going to heat it up with any kind of run game, any kind of pass game. So that's why I have him at 18. I kind of want to put him out of this list, but I respect Matt Ryan for what he's done. And I mean, speaking of what you've done, what have they done in the last 3 years besides like just be bad? But you can't get worse than what the Miami Dolphins were. I mean, Miami was good this year. They were 1-7, then ended up 7-7. They were balling. Tua finally got his boy Jalen Waddle involved. He finally learned how to just to do something. Just get your boy. What's the guy who doesn't catch a pass and then catches 2 touchdowns and then goes 5 games without catching? Oh, right, your tight end. You're 6'5" tight end. That should be Mark Andrews. I haven't seen a team that has Waddle, that has all this decent speed, but Tua, it might be the left-handed bias I have against lefty quarterbacks, but I see him. He has the potential, but it's like he doesn't want to be good. He's like, I can be good. All right, show me. All right, here's 1 game. All right, here's 2 games. Oh, those are against the Jets. Well, that's the best you're going to get. And speaking of the Jets, Zack Wilson, he's 22 years old. I mean, that Jets team, I think maybe in 2 years, they'll be a playoff team. Maybe 3 years. They've got the capital. They've got some draft picks. But I think Zack Wilson is kind of that guy. I think this year we can't really You can't get mad at him. What did Peyton Manning do his first year in the league? 20 interceptions.
Still the record.
Zack Wilson didn't throw 20 interceptions.
No.
He was bad, but he learned. He was learning to be a better quarterback. So out of the top 20, I think I'm going to change maybe more of the 10 to 20 rather than the 9 to 1.
Yeah. Yep.
So, like, be surprised if you see Zack Wilson off of it, Matt Ryan or Tua, because these guys are. And Mike White could sneak up there. You never know.
Agreed. It's a great list. A lot of good talking points there. Your reasoning was spot on for most of it, other than the ones that we had different. But let's talk probably one of the biggest snubs on our list, the guy we didn't have top 15 quarterback last year. He had 531 passing attempts, which was good for 12th. He had 83 red zone attempts, which was good for 11th. He 3,700 passing yards, 21 passing TDs. He's not a bad rusher. I think 7 rushing TDs, 55 carries, 270 yards. This guy did not crack our top 20. Again, it's a fluid list. Do you know who I'm talking about?
It's got to be. Was it Ryan Tannehill?
It's Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill, the one QB. A lot of talk about him being a buy low target coming into the season. Did not crack our top 20. He can definitely eke his way in there. I like what they got going on there. If Derrick Henry comes back, I like what he can do even more. He's consistent enough to get you what you need to get. I probably have him. I'm going to adjust my rankings probably right after this episode and move him up in there instead of Baker. But yeah, Ryan Tannehill, one of the bigger snubs of the season. Jameis Winston or whoever's throwing the ball in New Orleans could definitely move up in there. It's kind of weird not seeing Tom Brady on a top QB list.
I wanted to put him there just out of the just give me like a 21 slot just because you don't know if he comes back. What?
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. You might see these lists come back later in the year.
in 2021 at 44 years old, which is just crazy. I mean, he did have a great surrounding cast. He did have a bunch of people around him that helped him get there, but not seeing him on the list is kind of, it's heartbreaking.
It's 22 years of my life, man.
Yeah, as much as I'm a Saints fan I adored watching Tom Brady do what he can do, and the league is going to be different without him. There's a lot of Tom Brady haters out there, but the game is definitely going to be different without him. It's in good hands. I mean, the AFC probably has out of the top 10 quarterbacks, the AFC's probably got the top 6, if not 7, when you really break it down. But I'm looking forward to the 2022 season. That is our top 20 list. Like the stream, subscribe to the uSTADIUM channel, download the uSTADIUM app, get in on those takes. One of the takes that I got going on for draft season is I don't think a QB will be picked within the top 5 picks of this year's entry draft. You could agree or you could disagree into that take. And when it comes down to it, if a QB does get picked, you win that disagreed side. If a QB doesn't get picked, you win the agreed side. Either way, you could be going home with some points. There's a ton of takes on there, and it's not just football. It expands into everything. I think I seen Oscar takes in there.
Yeah.
There was a World Cup takes in there. There's baseball takes. There was NBA trade deadline takes in there. It is electric. The points are flowing through the uSTADIUM app. Get in on there if you don't got it. Splash even posted one about whether or not he's going to get his Instagram back by his birthday, which I think he said was in March. So, I mean, you can post takes, whatever you want on there, as long as they're, they got to be somewhat legit. You can't just post anything too crazy. but I've been having a lot of fun with it. I do live up in Canada, so one of my takes was that the Canada men's national team wins this year's World Cup. A lot of people have disagreed with that take, but so if I win, I'm going home with a ton of points, man. And at the end of the day, points equals money, and who doesn't love money, right?
I mean, I've seen a lot of crazy takes. Honestly, like I said, it's free money. What do you like? You can make a take about anything as long as it's got some boundaries. But like, come on, like I was making takes during the Super Bowl. We had almost craziest prop bets. We had heads or tails with the first kickoff, you had touchback, the Gatorade color. Like I said, I won squares randomly. Like this is points that we're giving you guys to brag. Go to your friends and be like, you know what? I bet you that the Buccaneers can somehow beat the Saints twice next year and not go 0-4 the next 2 years. So join a take. Let us know what you think is going to happen, and we'll tell you if we agree or disagree. And if we agree and we win, he said free money. Like I want free money. If I had free money, I'd be doing this every day.
There you go. And go to the uSTADIUM app. Go to uSTADIUM. Comment takes are on uSTADIUM for 200 free points that you could use towards buying into takes, making your own takes. Get in on it while it's hot, because it is hot and I don't see it stopping. So uSTADIUM to the moon. Let's go. That's it for us this week. Stefan, let them know where they can find you, big guy.
Like always, I changed every handle to make it easier for you guys. Make sure you guys can find me, because with that Baker take, my top 20. Give me all that. Hey, you Baker fans, come on. I want it. I want something to talk about. But right here, Twitter, uSTADIUM, you can find me. My DMs are open, questions, answers, whatever. I'm here. This is what I do. It's the off season. I've got time on my hands to make these rankings. I got time in my hands to go back and forth if you want to have a discussion about who you think is better. And if you think that you're right, go on that app, make a take. I'll join it. I'll make sure that I put my points on there. And hey, you never know, like you said. So Bear Sprommet, Twitter, uSTADIUM, you know where to find me.
I like it. That's it for us. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next week with our top 20 running backs for the 2022 season.